Hello everyone. I'm going to make this first video mainly about study techniques and how to kind of jump first into the semester. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is setting goals. And on D2L, under our navigation documents, we have this document looks something kind of like this. It's called Setting Goals. I know this sounds kind of basic, but really setting goals makes your progression a little more realistic and understandable. Through the worksheet, there's a couple questions. You want to write what is your primary goal, and you want to be specific. Specific goals will help you gauge whether or not you're making progress in doing what you would hope to be doing. So if you say, I want to do well in the semester, well, what's well? Is well A? Is well a B minus? So be specific. Like on this first exam, I want to get an 85%. All right, you take your first exam, then you can decide, oh, I made 85% or I didn't. So the really specific goals help you gauge whether or not the skills that you're using and implementing are working. So take time and work through this worksheet. It lets you kind of help evaluate where you want to go, what you want to do. And also there's some questions in here that might help you think about what's going to impede your progress, what's going to throw up roadblocks. Not necessarily bad things. Maybe you have some family commitments, and just to be aware of those things that are going to maybe derail your studying progress. And then also think about what tools and people do you have access to, what things are really going to help you, what things are positive in your life. Like you have a very encouraging parent, or you're really motivated for this new promotion or this new job or this new way of life that you want to proceed in. So very quick worksheet to go through just to make you think about where you want to go from here on out. The second thing I'm going to recommend is a weekly calendar. And you're going to see one of these in your lab manual as well. And that's kind of a slightly different project that you're going to be looking at. But this one is a weekly calendar with times and days. And what is a really good exercise is to go through and fill out this calendar. Put in your classes, put in your study times that you plan to study, but also put in things that you have weekly commitments to. Do you have church every Sunday from when to when? Do you work? What days? What times? Especially if it's a permanent schedule. Get all of those things in here and then really look and say, oh, where am I going to study? And try to designate specific times. Make copies of this, stick it on your mirror, stick it in your notebook, stick it on your fridge, put it in multiple places so that way you're kind of holding yourself accountable to your schedule. Having a schedule makes a difference. If you know that at 10 o'clock every Tuesday morning you're going to go and study for an hour, you're going to use that hour and focus on lab every week. It's going to make a difference. So getting a schedule helps. In association with that is also getting organized. When you spend an hour looking for all of your notes, putting your note cards together, trying to find your textbook, your notebook, maybe the pages fell out, it's a waste of time. So I know not everyone is very organized. I happen to be kind of overly organized, so for me this was a huge thing. But you need some level of organization. One notebook with all of your A and P stuff in it. Make sure it's in order, your notes. Make sure everything's there, or at least have a pile in the corner of your room. This is my A&P pile. This is the bag it goes in. That way you're not searching for things when it's time to study, and you're going to be much more efficient, and you're not going to waste time. Some other things to think about studying wise. There's lots of study tools out there, and you're going to hear about them and talk about them and kind of review them in your critical skills. The critical skills that you're going to be doing are actually ways to study. It may not seem like it at first. First, it might just seem like an assignment, but there's actually a purpose to those assignments. Is to make you think about ways that you can improve your study skills and improve your habits. So when you're looking at these critical skills you're going to be doing in the next couple weeks, think of how to implement those into your weekly study sessions. Off the bat, some things you can start doing right away is flashcards. There is a lot of information out there and a lot of processes, and you can't start talking about why things work and how things work and the more conceptual ideas if you don't understand the basic vocabulary. So start with vocabulary, keep your vocab flashcards simple, term on one side, definition on the other. And you want to go through these regularly. Throw them in your purse, throw them in your backpack, throw them in your car. When you have a moment at the doctor's office, flip through them quickly. And you want to make sure you go both ways. Look at the word and say the definition, flip the stack over, look at the definition and say the word. If you don't practice going both ways on your exam, you could be given a definition and ask for the word. If you didn't practice it that way, your brain's not going to do it. So make sure you practice going both ways. Other things you can do with flashcards is you come into processes that are steps, step 1, step 2, step 3. Make sure you can put them on flashcards and then mix them up and then try and put them back in order. There's lots of different ways you can do flashcards, and we can talk about that, but that's a good place to start. Also, rewriting your notes. That lets you know where, oh, wait a minute, this part right here, I didn't get that. Go to your book. You can't find the answer, come to me, come to your instructor. This will let you fill in those gaps long before the final exam. When you're studying, just rereading your notes isn't really going to work. You need to make it more active. So thinking of games, of crossword puzzles, of writing things out, talking things out, teaching it to someone. If you have a sibling or a significant other or a friend who's willing to let you talk about anatomy, teach them what you're learning. That will definitely make it stick in your head. So you want to make this much more active and just not a passive process. So just reading your notes isn't going to work. You want to imagine, a good significant chunk of time each week. Thinking 10 hours a week isn't unreasonable. Studying the night before isn't going to work. That's why that calendar comes in handy, is you can find pieces of time throughout the week to help you study. It'll be much more effective. And when you do study, don't sit down for a 3 hours chunk of time. After about 45 minutes, definitely after that first hour, your brain's not going to remember anything. Think in smaller segments, half an hour to an hour. Study for an hour, put your stuff down, go for a walk. Study for another hour, do the laundry. Or study for an hour and just go do something else that's not related. You want to break it down into smaller, manageable pieces that will give your brain time to process and learn what you're actually trying to learn, and not just memorize it and be able to spit it back out on an exam. To actually learn this so you can recall it later when you need to in your programs. Some other little just good advice: keep healthy, get some sleep, eat well. I know those are all things that, yeah, it sounds good in theory, but trying to manage that in time, it doesn't always work. But the more you can stick to feeling good and not getting sick, getting sleep, your brain needs that sleep to work. You need to eat. I know some of you are coming straight from work. Grab something to eat before class. Again, your brain's not going to work if you're hungry and you're tired. You need to keep that nourishment up. And also exercise, relieving stress, but also there's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that you remember more when you exercise, especially if you exercise before you study. So if you're planning a study session, go for a half an hour walk, go for a run, hit a yoga class, do something. All of that exercising creates new neural pathways, is what a lot of research is suggesting. So another good excuse to keep active and to keep healthy. So those are my first tips. We'll have more videos coming. I look forward to working with you throughout the semester. Have a good day.